Welcome to the Move with Tank podcast with your host, Dr. Michael Tansini. He is a doctor of physical therapy, owner of Ground to Overhead Physical Therapy, a strength and conditioning coach, former college athlete, 4-time CrossFit regional athlete, and a national level Olympic weightlifter. On the show, he will cover ways for active individuals and athletes, just like you, to stay healthy and improve their performance without the need of surgery, injections, and pain medication. If you ever have any questions for Dr. Tansini, which you would like answered, send over an email or message through Instagram at drtank_DPT. So without further ado, here's your host, Dr. Tank.
What's up, guys? This is Dr. Michael Tansini, Ground Overhead PT. Welcome to the Move with Tank podcast. Today, I've got a pretty awesome person with me, Street. She is the owner of CrossFit Shoofly, pretty darn good athlete as well. You know, we're going to chat today about the pandemic. We're going to chat today, getting to spread the word on what she's doing down in Peak Wave Arena. Just to learn a little bit more about like the common struggles that many athletes like yourself have been trying to overcome as you get back in the gym. So, Street, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. It's always fun to get on and chat with colleagues and friends, and especially about fitness. It's my favorite topic, so I can talk fitness all day.
Yeah.
Once I get started, I know you might have to cut me off because I get overexcited about it. And, 3 hours has passed and people are like, we get it, Street. You love fitness. Like, we got it.
Yeah. I mean, that's so common, right? So like when you like connect with someone who's as enthusiastic about it as you, like you look down at your watch and it's like an hour and a half later, you're like, oh man, like I got things to do. Like I sold my my assault bike. So I train out of the garage. What was it? A few weeks ago, Dave Castro went on Instagram and was like, oh, the official bike of the CrossFit Games is now the Echo bike. And I was like, okay, so I got the assault bike. Before like everyone goes away from the bike, let me sell this and get an Echo.
The only thing I could think of was like, poor assault bike. Like Dave Castro comes out and says, hey, the Echo bike is in, the assault bike's out. And I just thought, oh man, those poor people at Assault Fitness, they're like, what? Now everyone's going to get rid of their assault bike.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up selling it to a gym owner down in Chapel Hill at CrossFit 15501.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually big also into like the DECA. So have you ever seen the DECA fit?
Yeah.
And the official bike of DECA is the assault bike.
All right. Well, they have a crew then.
Yeah. So it's actually a guy I've known for years. We actually used to go to the same gym like back in 2010. So I sold him the bike, but then, I was there and then we just sat and chatted for like almost 2 hours. And I was like, hey, I kind of got to go. But so I completely get it.
Yeah, it's tough. And I think if, I mean, personally, I would rather ride the assault bike than the Echo bike. And we have all Echo bikes at the gym. So I always want to train with the hardest, worst object. And then if you go to a competition, you happen to have something else. Hopefully it's something that you enjoy a little bit better, so it feels easier. We do that all the time. I mean, I know I break a lot of people's hearts at the gym, but like our 400 meter is 420 meters on purpose, right? Like let's run a little bit further. And then when you actually have to run 400 meters, it feels a lot better or a lot faster. And so, people will be like, oh man, it's Nancy with the overhead squats and the 400 meter run for like 5 rounds. And people are like, man, I PR'd my Nancy time at this gym, but I can't PR it at Shoofly. And I'm like, well, probably because the run is longer every time. You have to have a Shoofly Nancy time and then everywhere else Nancy time.
Yeah. Man, that's whenever I lived in San Diego and I trained at the ambiguous downtown location,
Uh-huh.
our 400 was actually closer to 500.
Yeah.
And it was just like because like I was like, man, like this is taking a little bit longer than normal. So I just brought my watch out and I just kind of like mapped it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 480 or something if I remember right.
That makes me feel a little bit better. Ours is only 420, so that's good. Everybody does like to comment that it starts off with like this aggressive incline, and then we don't get that nice of a decline on the way back for some reason. It's like the way we're set up. So it's like old people saying, "Oh, I had to, walk uphill both ways." Everyone's like, "This 400 meters is long and it's uphill both ways." I'm like, "I'm sorry, guys. It's gonna make you better,
Yeah, I definitely. Now, no one can do a better intro for you except you. So, like, tell everyone who's listening there who you are and just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that everyone knows I'm from West Virginia. They either figure that out by way of my accent or tattoos. I have a West Virginia tattoo, and for some reason, I always start off the conversation with that. So I am born and raised in Camp Creek, West Virginia, which is a super small town. It's actually at the bottom of Winter Place Ski Resort. So, people from West Virginia, they hardly ever tell you the actual town. They'll tell you the county because it's a little bit easier to recognize which part of the state you're from by using the county. And you never hear that here. No one's like, I'm from Wake County or I'm from Hart County or whatever. It's just weird. So I always tell people, I'm from Winter Place. So born and raised there and always in sports, played soccer, ran track, played basketball. Basketball became my biggest sport. I knew that I wanted to go to college, not from a super well-off family. So I had to get a scholarship, and it was way more likely for me to get an athletic scholarship than educational scholarship at the time. So I was like, I'm going to work really hard at basketball. And so I ended up going to a Division II school, Shepherd University, which is actually in West Virginia. It's in the Eastern Panhandle, close to DC and Baltimore. So went there, played basketball. My goal all through like growing up was that I was going to open up my own adventure business. So I was going to open up like whitewater rafting, mountain biking, all that stuff in the New River Gorge area. And so as I began my college career, I started with recreation and tourism. So that was my major. And I did a year of that and realized I probably need to switch majors. I don't necessarily have to do recreation and tourism. I can do it as a minor. I really enjoy fitness, so I think I'll study exercise science. So I started to study exercise science, and this whole time I was playing on the basketball team there, a scholarship athlete, and just really started to fall in love with sports, sport performance, and how you can like really get better as an athlete. So that's where it first started feeling like this could be a profession for me. And so I worked really hard, graduated undergrad, and decided that I wanted to continue on with my master's, and I wanted to study nutrition since exercise and nutrition are so closely related. And I did really enjoy learning about food, and I really enjoyed changing my own diet and finding how I could really perform best on a certain nutrition plan. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to study nutrition. So I ended up coming to Meredith College. They had a great program and I got in. So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina. I don't know anything about Raleigh, North Carolina. So I come down here, start studying at Meredith, and I'd never not been on a sports team. So that was strange and I wasn't doing very well with it. So I ended up jumping into a rugby team. Raleigh has a very successful rugby team. So I went for tryouts, started playing rugby, instantly had like 50 friends, moving to a new area. So that was great. And they ended up being really good at rugby. Probably was the sport I should have been playing the whole time. Played one season with Raleigh, got drafted to play with Washington, D.C. They had a Premier League team. And then after that, made it on the U.S. national team. So, so unexpected turn of events, ended up playing professional rugby for 5 years with the U.S. team. And during that whole time, I was getting my master's and still studying fitness and exercise. Started doing strength and conditioning. So I started at UNC Chapel Hill. I was just an assistant coach part-time, worked in the Olympic sports weight room, loved it, loved every second of it, and then ended up becoming the strength coach at Meredith College as well. CrossFit happened out of the blue when our rugby team was actually looking for a place to train. And we started training up at Forge Fitness, which is way north Raleigh. One of the first gyms, I think it might be the first gym that opened up in the area as far as CrossFit gym goes. We started working out there and I was like, what is this CrossFit? Like, this is awesome. This is like merging the two worlds that I was in, which was strength and conditioning, like sports weight room with your teammates, and then like the average fitness, going to the gym and just kind of working out on your own. So it was like merging these two worlds that I had been in, and I loved it. So I wanted to learn more about it. I started coaching CrossFit. I actually started coaching under Christmas Abbott back in the day. So worked for Invoke for about 3 years and then decided I think I want to open up my own gym. Instead of working at a university, I think I just kind of want to see if I can make this CrossFit thing happen. And Fuquay was the town I was living in. I love this little town. It has so much character. And I just said, this is a perfect place for a CrossFit gym. I mean, this is what people need in the area. There's not too many of them around, and let's go for it. So we ended up opening up Shoofly in 2016. We're in downtown Fuquay right now, and we're in it's about a little over 3,000 square feet on the inside. And then we have a really big outdoor area that gives us about 2,000 to 3,000 more square feet, 2,000 square feet that's like covered. So we fit everybody in and we have a great time. And it's really changed my life considerably. Like, this is not the direction that I thought I was. And I think most people can say that, right? Like, when you're in high school, you have some dreams and some goals, and sometimes they work out and it's great. And sometimes they don't work out and it's great. And that's what happened to me. So I still do adventure stuff, but I'm not an adventure hippie in the West Virginia mountains right now. And I'm okay with that. I really love my life and love the people that I work with.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's such a cool story. And your story about, when you got out of playing team sports, like getting into like strength training or like finding something to like get you in and back around people is actually like similar to how I found CrossFit. So like I stopped playing baseball, transferred up to Chapel Hill, did my undergrad there, and my first semester there, I'll say like the first like 3/4 of my first year, the worst grades like I've ever had in my life. And I had no structure, like I had no schedule. I was going to class, going out, hanging out with people, and like my grades suffered drastically. And then as soon as I got involved with CrossFit, it was like a game changer. Because I then had, I was like, okay, like I'm training like an athlete again. Like, now I can structure my day. And then, I was exercise science, and like, just like you, like using what I was learning in the gym to not only like get better, but also to just learn just in like a real world application. And so I bet that story is more common than we think.
Absolutely. I think when people are used to that structure and they're used to kind of pushing the limits on what they can do, they almost need that to thrive. And that's how I felt. That, like you were saying, like that first semester of just not having your team and not having something that you're working towards. And I mean, obviously you're working towards a degree and you're studying and all of those things. But when you're so locked into what you're doing, you can tap into the other areas of your life as well and make them better. And and maybe some people aren't like that, but I think athletes are just wired that way, where they're programmed to eat a good breakfast and drink a bunch of water and be ready for practice. And then, the classroom is almost like a competition as well. You're designed to do well in those areas. You want to be the top of, whatever it is, whether it's your sport or academics. And then you're programmed to kind of come off of that and say, okay, now I have to go watch game film so that I can get better at this. And your mind just keeps on that track. And when you get off of it, it's easy to be like, oh, I don't really have to do that right now. Or yeah, I can take a nap, or I can just hang out. And I think that's sometimes a dangerous place to be. Everyone needs it at some point in their life. But yeah, I didn't want to hang out there. I knew that I needed to get back on a team.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Mom. Now, how has that helped you starting Shoofly? Because there's so many similarities between like playing and like training for a sport and like starting a business.
Oh yeah. For me, it was the leadership roles I was able to play in sports. I think that I liked being a leader. I liked being able to make decisions. I liked telling people what to do. So some people enjoy that, some people don't. But even as a new rugby player, I hadn't been playing that long, and I was finding myself in positions where, the position I played on the field alone was almost like a quarterback. It was very vocal. So I did a lot of directing and telling people what to do. And that was helpful because you're on the field and you have 15 people looking at you like, hey, what do we do? And so when I opened up a gym, I only had 30 members when I opened up the gym. Most of them were all my personal training clients. We call those the OGs, the original gangsters. So if you were personal training with me in a park and all this other stuff, you're an OG. And so I had about 30 members with me on day one, and they are awesome. They hung drywall, they laid floors, they painted walls. I mean, just for us to get into this building that we are in, it was such a huge feat. And I had 30 people like ready to go, which was awesome. We should have been on HGTV for like a show called Flip This Gym. I'm kind of mad that didn't happen. So
wait, hold on. So that was actually gonna be a show?
No, I wanted it to be a show.
Gotcha. Okay. That'd be awesome.
It would have been awesome. I know. I was like writing HGTV and Bravo, like, hey, you should have a show about this thing I'm doing. No one cared. Maybe down the road I can get a Bravo show or HGTV show. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that I had 30 people that were ready to go, and they had so much trust and belief in me that this was going to work out. And it was just another team. It was just another team I was on. After we got open and operating and we're starting to gain more and more membership, Shoofly is such a strong community. And one reason why is because we all are part of this team. Like, we consider ourselves to be a team. We have each other's back. And I think that's really been like the foundation. We just laid those bricks, and that's what's kept us so strong throughout everything. And especially throughout COVID and quarantine year that we just had. So, I think sports and those experiences that I had helped me take on a leadership position that, ultimately is my livelihood and my coach's livelihood. So,
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And like, kind of like we started to chat about prior to jumping on here, but so many, like, look around, like a lot of gyms are changing ownership. A lot of gyms are closing down, and it's like people just made it through the pandemic, and they're like got dwindled down, and now they're like, oh man, like I just need to get out. There's a few gyms around the triangle, and like you are one of them. Like you guys have absolutely thrived as you've gone through the pandemic, and that says a lot about you in charge. Like, if the person in charge, keeps that steady head and like is able to keep on trucking through, and like look for ways to say, instead of like, oh my gosh, we're in a pandemic, like we're screwed, and be like, okay, like we're in a pandemic, what can we do? And like how can we still move forward? And that showed, like just from someone who's like known about you for like a while now. And then like being able to like watch from kind of like that third person point of view, it's really, really been awesome. And like I've had multiple clients that I work with actually joined your gym during the pandemic, and they love it. And they have amazing things to say about everybody.
That's awesome. I mean, that's the best compliment ever right there, is hearing that. And, I will say that even though I'm in this leadership position, I have a tremendous staff of coaches. We have been together for a long time now. And one of the things that was really important to me when we first opened up was making sure we had the right people in place, not just rushing to hire someone because we need someone. And Chelsea, one of my coaches who's been with me the longest, she can tell you that for sure, because for the longest time, it was only her and I. And we were taking on every class, working ourselves to death, pretty much. It was because I was so diligent on, I'm not just hiring someone because they're available. I'm hiring someone because they're going to be my long-term coach, and we're going to build this thing, and it's got to be the right people. So over the years, we've continued to add coaches onto our staff, but we still have a small coaching staff compared to how many members we have. So we have 8 coaches total, and that's including me. I would say 5 of them coach a bunch of classes. They're there every day. And then we have 3 that are kind of like, we're jumping in when you guys need us, and they have some jobs and families that they have to take care of, but they are there as like bench players, which is awesome because we need that. And then, you look at some other gyms and they have a ton of coaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just 2 different approaches. Our approach is to have a smaller coaching staff that does more instead of a larger coaching staff that you might only have somebody coaching maybe 1 or 2 classes a week. Most of our coaches are coaching at least 1 or 2 classes a day. So they're there every day in front of our members' faces. And it's just a really tight-knit, type of situation. I think our members kind of see that as well. And our members are there every day. Like when we look at our attendance, we're forcing a rest day on people, which is Thursdays, and people are still coming in for like open gym, or they're taking an endurance class or something. It's become such a staple in their life that, they're pretty much at the gym every day, even if it's just to come in and stretch. People can stretch at home, but they want to come in and be a part of the atmosphere. They have the ultimate, I guess, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? They know their friends are there. They know their coaching staff is there. So they just kind of come in. And I think it's wonderful. And that's like what we want to create. We want people to think of the gym as their second home, because if there's somewhere else that you're going to be outside of, your house and work, why not be the gym? Something healthy that you can get into and put into your life, put into your kids' life, and just kind of build this habit that hopefully increases the quality of your life, keeps you healthy for longer, keeps you feeling good, and allows you to really do the things that you want to do. We kind of live in a bubble. When we get outside of the bubble and you realize like how unhealthy some people do live their life, whether it's constantly eating fast food or not getting up and moving. And, they always feel bad and they never really have this motivation to do anything. And I think that that's extremely sad. I really feel bad for those people, and I really want to kind of change their mindset and see if you can just get them to get up and take a walk. They just start walking around the neighborhood, and then, they start doing some other things, and eventually get them into the gym over time. So, I mean, we do kind of live in a bubble. If you're in a CrossFit gym, your friends are like-minded and everybody's concerned with eating right and getting enough sleep and drinking enough water. And then you realize that the majority of people don't feel that way, or they don't think that way, so.
It's that's kind of crazy. And that's something like, I've seen throughout the years, and like being involved with, being in a CrossFit gym now since 2007. So I train out of my garage, but I'm still like within the fitness community. It's like, as soon as you go outside that, it's strange. Like people look at us weird, but like we look at other people like, why aren't you doing this stuff? Like, it makes your life so much better. Like,
and they're looking at us like, why are you killing yourself on that Echo bike?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You think that's fun? And I'm like, yeah, it's fun afterwards. Maybe not in the moment, but yeah, what it allows me to do is what's fun, right? Is, you've gained this fitness now. Was that the most fun workout I've ever done? No, probably not. Some workouts are fun and some workouts are less fun, but ultimately you're increasing your level of fitness and your confidence in what you can do outside of the gym. I really do push that. I want people to go explore. I want them to try things, new sports, new activities, and they'll be surprised at what they can do. Too often do I hear like, oh, I can't do that, or I'm too old to do that. That's probably one of the biggest things that I hear. And I don't want people to get stuck in that way of thinking. We're only on this earth for so long. Like, let's go, like, let's try and do as much as we can. At least that's my mindset. And I know some people might not be that way, but if you feel good and you're healthy and you can be around the people you love for as long as possible, then we're doing everything that we can. And that's in our control anyways.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so crucial. Like people that I work with. So I would say for the main part, like the age demographic of like the majority of people are between like 34 or like 30, 33 and like 55.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have that mindset. But then like I do work with a few people like in that like 55 plus, in the like 59, 60, 61, 67, 70. Now he's probably 75. And it's like, especially like when I get people like in the upper age bracket of like who I normally work with, they've got that same mindset. They're like, listen, like I'm here to be active, and like I don't want to get old. Like this guy, man, I haven't worked with him. I haven't even talked to him, and I need to give him a call. But since I was in San Diego, he was, so right now, so I left San Diego in 17, and he was like 72. So like, what's that? Like he's so 76 now. And and at 72, he worked out at the gym 4 days a week, played golf every week, did stand-up paddleboard. And as I was leaving, he was like, man, I'm just learning how to surf. And it's like, yes, like you are doing it right.
Absolutely. I mean, I hope that I am just like doing that the rest of my life. I hope that I'm always competing in like a healthy way. And we have like the senior games, I volunteer for the senior games, which is, if you don't know what the senior games are, they are basically like the Olympics for seniors. So folks that are, I don't know the exact age. I'd have to look that up, but I think it's like 60 plus or something. And there's all these different sports, and they have everything from basketball to shot put to archery, whatever you choose. But I love it because it gives people something to work towards, and it gives them a hobby or a sport that they can just kind of to hone in on and keep their mind focused on that, and also just increasing their skill and their cognitive function. And that's how I want to be. Like, I've done a lot of different sports, and I love CrossFit. I love the community of CrossFit. It reminds me in some ways of rugby. Rugby has a great community of people. And so, being able to stay in that for as long as possible, even if I'm not competing, it doesn't matter, as long as I'm still having fun with what I'm doing. And as long as I still feel like it has a positive impact on my health and my wellness. Yeah. Right. And so, and that's what we want to create. That's the whole purpose of Shoofly was, we're going to have so many different people. My goal is to have as many different people in this gym as possible. And some of them might want to compete. Some of them are just there to increase their fitness. Maybe they're there to lose weight, whatever their goal is. We actually sit down and we figure that out. When people first start at the gym, even if they've been doing CrossFit, we will still schedule, like we call it a Shoofly sit down. We basically sit down with these people and we say, what makes you excited to come here? And what makes you excited to do fitness? And what are the things that you want to try to achieve? Because then I can change my coaching style based off of that. I can know that what motivates one person doesn't motivate this person. And the more I get to know that athlete or our members, the better our coaching staff can actually direct them. And it becomes very personalized, but you're still in that group atmosphere. And that's something that has been very successful for us because it's just a real conversation, right? If you have no aspiration to ever learn how to snatch, that's fine with me. I don't need to teach you to snatch. I can teach it and I can get you really good at it. But if that's not a goal of yours and you could care less on whether you snatch a barbell, I'm fine with that. It is not something that is a requirement for you to be at Shoofly. There are many other movements and exercises that I can use that are way more in your wheelhouse, that make you feel comfortable, that allow you to even work harder and get a better stimulus. And they're not the snatch, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to force that movement on you. And I think that taking that approach has really helped us out because grassroots CrossFit, I mean, and you know this because you've been in it as long as I have, grassroots CrossFit's like, you got Pukey the clown, right? Like, we're doing it. No excuses. This is what's happening, you know? And
Uncle Rabdo.
Yeah, Uncle Rabdo, right? Like, and while I can appreciate those characters and that and that sort of thing, the comedy of it, that is not how I'm going to run my gym, you know? But I'm, you know, it's not a bash on anything else. And we still have athletes that, you know, if their goal is to do like 100-mile bike ride, like we have a lot of people who they just want to be able to ride their bike and do these like long endurance activities and certain CrossFit workouts, you know, I would just be like, hey, let's change it today. I know what your goal is. This is what you're going to do today. And yeah, we're still all working out together and we're still all doing similar stuff, but I know that this person has this objective. So I'm going to switch it right there. And I will go in and look and see who's coming to class because we want people to sign in early. If they know they're coming to class, I always tell people, go ahead and sign in because the coaches are looking at who's in their class before they're coaching the class. And so in my mind, I'm seeing this sea of people that's coming to my 6:30 class. And I'm already thinking, Julio's going to do this. And I'm going to give this person this to do. And this person's going to do this because I know what, one, maybe their limitations might be, or two, I know that their goal is this. And they would benefit more from this version of this workout. So I'm going to go ahead and have it ready to go. And as they walk in the door, talk to them about what they're going to do today. And I think that makes people feel like they really, truly have a coach. That it's not just somebody who's standing in front of the class who says, this is what we're doing today. You know, go do 3 rounds of air squats and push-ups as your warm up. And then we're just going to roll. Like, I'm not running my gym that way. It's going to be way more personalized than that. And I always tell people, I didn't go through all this school and education and do all this stuff to just kind of be like, do whatever you want. Like, no, you're here, you're in front of me. Like, I'm the expert. I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to be your coach. I'm going to put my full effort into it. And some people like that and some people don't. And if they don't like it, there's many other gyms that they can choose from. If they do like it, and they found their home, right? They're in the right spot. So
that's awesome. That's so crucial. Like, you know, and that allows you to, you know, work with someone in their 50s and then also work with someone like Shaylin who, you know, was at the mat, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's what's nice about it is we do have that wide range. Like we have a lot of extremely competitive, really good athletes, and they're younger and, you know, they see this as their sport. And then we have, you know, our oldest athlete is 74, and that's amazing. And, you know, that person has been able to come off of like all medications, like no more blood pressure, cholesterol medications, is able to, you know, not wake up and take 8 pills is amazing. But only that, you know, it's allowed that person to do more with their grandkids, to feel like they have the confidence to go on these big trips and even go hiking and things that you don't really think of. But now it's opened up so many more doors. That is actually what gets me most excited. If you really want to fire me up, like, come tell me something like that. I'm very excited for our competitive athletes, and I get just as amped for them, but I get equally as amped for somebody who's hit a life achievement like that. And I'm all for it. Like I want to have that type of atmosphere so that people don't just get stuck in one train of thought. They see all of these people around them that have different lives and different goals, and it motivates you. Like that motivates me. Seeing somebody that's done that tells me that like life continues to get better, right? Like we can continue to get better and not have this like gloomy, like, oh, I'm getting older. Oh, you know, does my body hurt a little bit more than it used to? Absolutely. But I consider myself just to continue to get better with age. And I want other people to be able to tap into that as well. It makes life more exciting, you know, than just kind of, you know, sitting around waiting to get old, I guess.
You know, that's so true. And that's something that I've been trying to get through my parents now for quite some time. Like, unlike me, like my parents aren't that into fitness. And like, and that's just the truth. Like my dad's been working the same desk job for the last 40 plus years, like same company, same desk job, like could possibly retire, or he could have retired back in March. And he's like, oh, Mike, why am I going to retire? I got nothing else to do. and I'm like, Dad, he's overweight. Like he's a type 2. He's done a decent job at like improving his diet throughout the years. Could it use work? Yes, it definitely could. But the big thing is like he doesn't exercise. Like he works around the house and he works in the yard. But like at that same time, it's like he sits for 12 hours a day or like 9 hours a day or something. And it's like, Dad, like CrossFit Vitality's right down the road. So you ever heard of Vitality?
Oh yeah. Great.
Yeah. So
in Charlotte.
So Steve's a super good friend of mine. That's actually where I actually started coaching back in the day. So they're like literally like 2 miles down the road. I'm like, Dad, you need to go see Steve. You need to go down there. He was like, oh, Mike, I'm too old for that stuff. Like, and I'm just like, Dad, you need to go, man.
Yeah. And how often do you hear that though? You know, I'm too old for that. And, you know, not every gym is the same. So there might be some truth to that depending on where you go. But, you know, the thing is that if you are in the right hands, right? If you have somebody that is really intelligently going to put a program together for you and have a watchful eye and be with you every step of the way, then you absolutely can do it and absolutely should do it. And that's why I want to have younger people. I want to get kids when they're early because I want to try and make this something that's important to them, that they enjoy, so that as they grow older, we don't ever get to this place, right?
Yeah.
It's just part of our life and something that allows us to be healthy. And I want to have the middle group, right? We always have that group that's like, oh, I used to play sports and then I fell off for like 6 to 10 years and now I've gained a bunch of weight and I don't know what I'm doing, you know? And it's like, okay, great, I want that person too. And then, you know, you have so many different personalities and you have so many different people with all these backgrounds. That stuff is what I think makes us all better, you know, having all these different groups of people and being able to all work towards a common goal. And the goal is to become the best version of ourselves, right? And we're all different. So whatever that version is what that version ends up being. You know, I'm not like Susie and Susie's not like me, but we both want to be better. So we're here doing it together. So,
you know, I was listening to a podcast last night on the way home from the office, and it was Mind Pump. And it's like it pops up on my feed all the time on like my YouTube feed. And I never listened to it. And I was like, I'm just going to pick a random episode to listen to it. And the guy was talking about, he's a big into strength training. And he was talking about, he was at a wedding and the priest at the wedding was like also like big into like bodybuilding, but like they had like completely different views on like life. Mm-hmm. So like they like went up and he was talking to him, and I actually think he said something, I guess, about how he had just like an interesting talk with them on like two sides of like a certain issue in life. Then he was like, hey, do you want to work out after this? And so like they like went to the gym together and they like doing doing their own stuff, but like talking throughout the set. And the priest says, "Hey, you know what the one place is, or you know what the most diverse place you can go?" And the guy was like, "Where?" He's like, "The gym." He goes, "When you walk in the gym, it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are. You're all there working out together, and there's a general of respect for anyone who's in the gym working, and like it helps actually connect, like different diverse cultures and lifestyles, and like people often talk about like the gym's so scary, the gym's intimidating, but when you get in it, it's just like everyone there, regardless of where you came from, what your goals are, like everyone's there to get better, and that's so awesome.
It brings us back to that team aspect, though. I think everything is scary at first. Getting on a new team is scary at first, and it's like you were saying, you can have a difference of opinion, or you can even have different views on something. But when you're in the gym or you're on a team and you're going through something that's difficult, these workouts, they're not easy, right? It doesn't matter what version of the workout you're doing. They're just not easy. They're not easy mentally to get in there and do it. They're not easy physically to do it. And when you go through that with other people, you build this camaraderie, you build this respect for one another. And it's hard to replicate that outside the gym or outside the playing field or whatever you might be on, right? And so I think that's where fitness and sports really brings people together. I think that you see that all the time. You see it all the time, even just with the Olympics, right? The Olympics are coming up this summer, and all of these countries can come together because it's the Olympics, right? And I think that, we have, all these different countries have different things going on, and, not everybody's super friendly with one another, but when it comes to sports and the games itself, I mean, it just brings people together. And CrossFit does the same thing. You look into the CrossFit games and you see all these people, and they're vastly different, but they all enjoy getting better, and they all enjoy seeing people really pushing themselves. And that's what makes it fun. And that's what builds these relationships. And I think the biggest thing that we can do as just like a CrossFit community is continue to invite more and more people in, no matter what their background is, and be as open and welcoming as possible. And that's something that I've been really adamant about just at our gym. I don't care where you're from. I don't care, what's going on. As long as you're a good person, you treat everyone well with respect, and, you work hard and you have this goal of becoming better, man, you're going to thrive. You're going to thrive at our gym.
Yeah.
If you can't get in line with that, though, I'm not going to be the one that says you can't be here. It's going to be the members. I mean, they really do dictate like that sort of demeanor. And if somebody doesn't fall in line with that, if they're just not being a good person, I don't even have to worry about it, because my members take care of it. They are so close with one another, and they have each other's back, that I don't really have to worry about that. And it's funny because even in really small details, right? Like, I think around the world, everyone knows, like, don't drop an empty barbell, right? Like, as a coach, it breaks your heart, like, it's like kicking a dog. I'm like, don't drop an empty barbell. And so, but for people who've never been in fitness, like, they don't realize that, right? And so our members will be the first to tell someone that. Like, if somebody drops an empty barbell, you think the coaching staff's going to run over there and be like, hey, man, don't do that. But it's actually the members. The members are like, hey, we don't drop an empty barbell, and we take care of our stuff so it can last a long time. And, that's what we've created. And that's when I know we're doing something right, is that I don't actually say it. My members, our athletes, take so much pride in our equipment, in our place, in each other, that they don't mind telling someone, hey, we don't do that here. We do this instead, in a nice way. Right. And that's when I know we've been doing the right thing, is because we've created this culture, and it really thrives and it works for people. And, upholding that standard and just kind of continuing to try and be better in all these different aspects. It attracts the right people. And I'm super thankful for it. I'm just going to keep putting my head down and doing the work and enjoying this, because I'm truly blessed to have a job I enjoy this much. A lot of people get up in the morning and they go to work and they dread it. And they're like, gosh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I don't want to do this. And I mean, there are some days where I'm like, would I rather lay at home watching Netflix today? Absolutely, because I'm tired, right? But not because I don't want to go to work. I want to go to work. I want to see everybody. I want to be a part of their life. I want to continue to be in front of my athletes coaching. No matter how big we get, I'm not going to stop coaching. I'm not going to be an owner who doesn't coach. That's my first love and my first passion. And so I'll always be directing traffic and telling people what to do and that sort of thing. And I feel very thankful to have found something that I love so much that I get to do every day around people that are really awesome to be around.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. Now, what kind of struggles have you ran into, getting people back in the gym post, or I guess as we kind of emerge out of COVID?
So the biggest thing, when COVID first hit, that was scary for everybody, right? We just didn't have enough information to know what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
So we actually shut down the gym. It was maybe a week or a few days before we were forced to shut down. And that was the move that was scary, because what we were thinking is, let's shut down for a couple days so we can figure out what's going on. And also so we can disinfect the gym, or so we can, because you didn't know, you know, I was like, I don't know what to do, but I feel like, we've got to do something. So we ended up shutting down a little bit early and disinfecting everything. And we were so naive to think well, maybe it'll go away in 2 weeks, 2 weeks we'll be back together.
Yes. I had that same talk to people. I was back in back March or April or something. I was like, we'll be fine by May. We'll be back to normal. And then it's just the days go on and it's oh well, this thing is not leaving us in.
Yeah. And, and that's when I was like, well, clearly you're not an expert in infectious disease, because I was had this naive, oh yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. It'll just be a really short, little quarantine, everyone just stay away from each other and then we can all come back together.
Yeah.
So clearly that did not happen. So what we ended up doing was, I urged our members, I made a video just talking to them saying, guys, we're unsure of what's going on right now, but we need to stick together. No matter what's happening, we're a super strong community. We're going to be here for each other, even if we can't be here in person for each other. I asked our members to, if they were able to, not cancel their membership, because we need the gym to be around when we open back up. And one of the things that was helpful for that was we ran online classes. I know a lot of people did Zoom classes and things like that. So in the early stages of COVID, we ran Zoom classes. We had a lot of classes each day too. We tried to keep a somewhat consistent schedule of morning, midday, and evening classes, so that those people could still be available if they were working or if they were an essential worker. So we did that. And we also rented out all of our equipment, basically gutted the gym. And if you had your membership still active, then you could come in and you could sign out equipment and take it to your house and use it. And we were writing all sorts of different workouts. We would have a workout that involved a barbell, but then we would have another workout that didn't. And then we had a no equipment version. So everyone could, no matter what equipment they had, they'd be able to participate. And so those were two really big things that we did. Here's all this equipment you guys can take home with you. And then here's coach-led classes online. And that seemed to really help people out a lot. We also did Zoom hangouts, and, everybody did the whole happy hour and stuff like that. And that was just to kind of still keep everyone connected. So that worked out. And as soon as we kind of transitioned from, super intense quarantine to you can do some outdoor fitness, we were lucky enough to have this great parking lot. We have a really large parking lot, and we have even a a sheltered area that has a rig under it and that sort of thing. So what we did was we did really small groups outside. We did fitness in the parking lot, and that was helpful. We had a lot of classes throughout the day because we couldn't have big classes, and we only had like 8 people working out, and they were like so far away from each other that it was kind of ridiculous. And so we went through all these different phases of safely getting people back into the gym, all the way up to the point where, you know, once we were opened up, we had our face masks on while we were inside. That was probably one of the bigger challenges because fitness is already hard. Fitness is really hard with a face mask on. But one of the things that we really talked about was the fact that we're doing this for each other, and it's not ideal, and nobody wants to work out in a face mask, but that's what we're going to do right now. It's the least we can do, right? At the end of the day, it's not a big deal, right? There's people that have far greater things that they're dealing with. If somebody can work out with one arm and one leg, I think that I can work out with a face mask on. It's not going to hurt me. So, you know, we really kind of instilled that sort of mindset that it's not a big deal. We're just doing what we have to do right now, and it's only temporary. And our kind of like mantra, what Shoofly actually stands for, I get this question a lot too, is like, why did you name your gym Shoofly? Well, I named my gym Shoofly because it's actually a railroad term. It's bigger in West Virginia. People know what a shoofly is, but here not so much. But it's the part of the track that allows you to continue moving. So if there's some sort of block on the railroad, whether it's like a mudslide or a crash or whatever it might be, you have all these different detours that the track can actually be split and reconnected in different spots of the railroad. And it's called a shoofly. And what it allows is it allows for the train to continue moving without really having to stop, even though there's something in the way, right? And so that's our mantra, is there's always going to be something in the way. But that doesn't mean that progress is stopping. We're just taking a different route. And eventually we get back on route. But guess what? At some point, something else is going to get in the way. It's not going to be a perfect straight line ever. And so that's what this pandemic was all about, was, okay, we have this new challenge in front of us. Now what are we going to do? Okay, now we have this other challenge in front of us, because there was always a different phase of what needed to be done to get us back. And now we're back. You know, everyone's brought their equipment back, and we're inside, and we don't have to have face masks on anymore. And it's like, it's crazy because it feels new, and it's not new, but it feels new because we've been away from it for so long, and people have a newfound love for it because it was taken away at one point. And if there's one good thing, I guess, that could come out of that, it would be this appreciation for what you did have, because you never really thought it would be taken away. And then when it gets taken away, you realize how special and important it was to your life. So,
that's so awesome. And, you know, that's, it just shows like community has been like the major kind of like driver, and you as a leader, because like, you know, you as a leader, you know, through like your sports days that kind of like led you into where you're at now. Like, you know, it's the strong leaders which have the ability to like wrangle up the troops, right? And like gather up the troops and be like, okay, guys, like we're in this tough spot right now, but like we're going to keep moving, and like we're not going to back down, right? And I think that's showed with you guys. Like I mean, and like it takes a team, right? But at the same spot, there's like that person at the front of the team, you know, the Bill Belichick's of the world, you know, who are like running everything, and that's you know, and like how you've essentially created the community, you know, like built such a tight knit group, but also such an open group to other people coming in. Why you guys have have thrived the way you have, and I love the mindset of like the obstacle is the way. You know, like you were talking about that, of like, you know, the obstacle, like it's here. Like we're not going to run from it. It's like we're going to overcome it. And there's an awesome book. It's called "The Obstacle Is the Way" by Ryan Holiday. Have you ever read it?
I haven't. I would like to, though. I'll have to look it up.
Look it up, man. It's one of my favorites. It's an amazing book. I recommend it to like everybody. Super awesome read. I also, a mentor of mine, I was talking with him. Actually, this was pre-pandemic. He was like, you know what, Mike? He was like, someone told me this one time, and I don't know. It's like probably from some like Chinese proverb or old saying, but he said, over every mountain is just another mountain. And it's like, and that's so true, right? So like, it isn't meant to be like devastating, and it isn't meant to be like this kind of like kick in the face. It's just meant to be like, okay, like get excited about these obstacles, because achieving these or overcoming these obstacles like is going to make things fun in kind of like a weird way. Like overcoming that like tough workout, it's like you don't always enjoy it when you're going through it. Like us as business owners like probably have not enjoyed trying to overcome the pandemic, but like as we've gotten through, it's like, okay, like it's made us that much better. Absolutely. So yeah, that's awesome. Highly recommend that book. So all his books are good.
I will check it out. You know, I think it's important for people to realize that it's probably not going to be easy. You know, like it's not going to be just a straight shot on flat ground. I mean, we're going to have mountains, we're going to have valleys, we're going to have things that get in our way, and it's normal. It's going to happen. And I think training yourself to be ready for those moments is probably the most important. You know, everyone likes to say the cliche, oh, you know, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Well, yeah, it is. You know, the journey is rocky. It's rough. It's not easy. The destination, I mean, depends on what you see the destination is. The destination at the end of the day is, you know, the end. I don't want to get to the end. I want to enjoy this journey as long as possible.
Yeah. And like people are always talking about like, you know, I mean, so Ryan Holiday talks about this on his podcast a lot, but he talks about, you know, like we're all on this journey, and as soon as we're born, we're dying.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, like know that like we've only got so much time here. So like why, yes, we need to plan for the future, but at that same time, like we can't worry about it. Like you gotta live your life in the moment. You've got to be present with, you know, what you're doing, because like now is living, being able to like really get lost in that journey of like living and make this moment the best possible ultimately makes your destination down the road a place that you can be happy about.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100% agree with that. And I think that, you know, there's a lot of different ways for people to get there. And our avenue just happens to be through like, you know, sport and fitness and wellness. Yeah. And it's a great way to be. But there's a lot of different ways for people to tap into that mindset and to really fully appreciate what's going on around them and being more present. I think that's one of the most difficult things, is to try and be present. And it's a daily reminder that, you know, tomorrow is never guaranteed. And the fact that we just went through this whole quarantine, and there were so many different emotions and things that were going on, and we're continuing to come out of it, right? Like it's not gone, but we're continuing to come out of it. And you know, yesterday, for the first time yesterday, we put chalk in a community bucket again. And that's just something that's not a big deal, right? Like it's a chalk bucket, but we took chalk, we put it back in buckets where multiple people can use it. Because before now, we just had everybody bring their own little bags of chalk, and they were using that. And community chalk came back, and it was so refreshing and interesting to watch our members come into the gym and be like, the chalk buckets are back. And I'm like, yeah, they're back. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is great. You know, and like the excitement over a chalk bucket, you know, like it really put it back in perspective that like you can get excited about anything, right? It could literally be anything. And it's a chalk bucket, but it was such a great day, you know, to be like the community chalk buckets are back, you know, and it was like hope and like it was a lot of things for a lot of people. And I didn't think that at the beginning of the day. Opening up chalk, putting it back in the bucket was just opening up chalk and put it back in the bucket. But then to watch all the members come in and get excited about this chalk in the bucket, I was like, man, you can really make anything happy, right? Yeah. You can find happiness in just about anything if it's that important to you. So little stuff like that, you know, we're making baby steps to get back to normal. We're not 100% at normal, and we probably won't be for a while. And that's okay. Enjoying where we're at right now and doing what we can right now is what, you know, we should stay focused on. And every time we come across a mountain or a roadblock, we'll just figure out a new way of doing things and just keep adapting and overcoming that. And, you know, as long as you have a good group of people around you, you can do anything. And we have that. We have a great community of people. We have a great team of coaches. We're in a nice town that everybody enjoys being in. And yeah, I'm just happy, you know, I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing. And I'm happy to have found something that I'm good at and that I enjoy and that I get to kind of share with people each day. So, yeah,
that's awesome. And yeah, that's we're going to wrap it up, but that is awesome to end on. I kept you longer than I said I was going to.
It's okay. I told you that I would talk a lot. So
no, yeah. I mean, it's just when you get talking to like someone like we could probably talk for like another hour.
Oh yeah.
But Street, it's been awesome. Amanda Street is actually your real name. So everyone out there, I keep on calling her Street. That's because that's what she goes by. But Street, can you just tell everyone like where they can find you, where they can learn more about the gym, and I'm gonna make sure to put all this in the show notes and all that stuff too. But can you just kind of run everything down for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in Fuquay Arena, which is south of Raleigh, and you can look us up on the internet, CrossFitShoofly.com. We also have an Instagram. We try and post a lot of stuff on Instagram, and it's CrossFit_Shoofly. If you search for us, we should come up. If anyone would like to reach out to me, my email is super easy. It's just street@CrossFitShoofly.com. Be happy to answer any questions or talk to anyone who's looking to get into a program, or if you're nearby Fuquay and you just want to stop in. We're in downtown Fuquay. If you've ever been to Aviator or the Mason Jar Lager Company, since Fuquay is such a brewery town, there's beers everywhere. If you've been in that area, we are kind of sandwiched between those two establishments. So come check us out. Come see us. Look for us online. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook. And hopefully we get to meet some new faces.
Awesome. Awesome, Street. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, or thank you so much for being on. It's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, definitely. This was such a great chat. Everyone, look up Shoofly. It's an awesome place. It's an awesome gym. Their setup is really, really freaking cool. Like it's, like the inside with the outside, like it's super, super cool. And it's super easy to get to, like regardless of like what side you're coming to. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, I'm Dr. Michael Tansini, and we'll catch you next time. See you guys. Okay, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast today. I hope you found the content useful, and I hope it helps you avoid an unneeded surgery or an unneeded injection in the future. Now, in practice, my goal is to save 1 million active individuals from the unneeded surgeries, injections, and pain meds that they don't need, while helping them stay active and performing the activities that they love to do. Now, guys, I cannot reach that many people all by myself. I really need your help. So if you like what you heard, please share this podcast with your friends, with your families, or with anyone who you feel really needs to hear it. By doing so, you may just save that person from an unneeded surgery or injection that they really do not need. If you're not following me yet on social media, find me on Instagram at drtank_DPT and on Facebook at Ground to Overhead Physical Therapy. Thanks for listening to the show today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you guys here again next time on the Move with Tank podcast.